The next morning when Luke woke up, he went about his business the way he usually did. He brushed his teeth, he went and ate breakfast, he started to get ready for the day, and then suddenly he remembered the adventures he had had the day before with the magical tape. He got up to go and get it, but before he could get there, he heard a noise coming from outside. It sounded like a big, mean dog out there. And then he heard a second dog barking. And then he heard a third. And he walked outside, and he just didn't see 1 or 2 or 3 dogs. He saw 10 huge, mean dogs barking at him. They weren't just barking at nothing. They were mad at Luke. So Luke tried to sneak out the back door to see more of what was going on, and the door locked behind him. And he had the tape in his pocket, but before he could get it out and do anything, the dog started chasing after him. He had to run now. He didn't have time to do anything with the tape, so he ran and he ran and he ran as fast as he possibly could. But no matter how fast he ran, those dogs kept getting closer and closer and closer until they were right on his heels. And then all of a sudden, one of the dogs went, like one of the dogs was hurt. And the dog stopped, and all the other dogs crowded around it because they didn't know what to do. The dog really hurt its paw. And once Luke realized that the dogs weren't chasing him anymore, he stopped too. And so he walked back, and he saw all the dogs that were really mean just a minute ago crowded around their friend, feeling helpless because they didn't know what to do or how to help their friend feel better. And Luke didn't know what to do either, but all of a sudden it occurred to him he had the magical tape right in his pocket. Maybe that would help something. So he pulled out the magical tape, and he went up to the dog, and he wrapped the dog's paw in the magical tape. And right away, immediately after he wrapped up that dog's paw, the dog was completely better because of the magical tape. And all of those big, mean dogs, they weren't mean anymore. Now they looked at Luke and they started licking him. They all licked his face and licked him from head to toe. They loved Luke. Luke was their best friend now. And then they looked at Luke as if they wanted to say,
"Follow us, Luke. Follow us this way."
Of course, they couldn't actually say that, but Luke could tell that's what they wanted him to do. And the dogs took off running, and Luke ran with them. And they went up hills and down valleys and through the woods and over the mountains and across the streams until finally they arrived at a great big house. This must be where the dogs lived. And right when they got there, Luke saw the door open. And Luke couldn't believe who he saw standing in the doorway. It was the giant! And the giant looked at Luke and said, "Hey, what are you doing here, kid? You're the kid that took my tape. You better get back here." And he ran after Luke. But all the dogs loved Luke. And they were trying to get their master to stop. And so they all jumped in front of their master. And then he saw the dog with the tape wrapped around his paw. And he looked at his dog and said,
"Sparkles, what happened to your paw? Did something happen here?"
And then Sparkles nodded her head. And the giant said,
"Are you okay? Who wrapped up your paw like this, Sparkles?"
And Sparkles picked up her paw and pointed right at Luke. And all the other dogs nodded their heads. And the giant said,
"Is that true, son? Did you help my dog?"
And Luke said, "Yes." And the giant said,
Maybe I misjudged you, son. Especially if you helped out my dog after I sent them to get you. Come on inside, kid. Do you want a treat?"
And Luke said, "I'm not supposed to go into strangers' houses. The giant said,
Oh, right. I'm sorry, my bad. Okay. How about this? Can I give you a ride home, kid?
and Luke said, I'm not supposed to take rides with strangers.
And the giant said, Oh, right. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, I don't know what to do then, kid. How can I help you out? How about this? Because you were so nice to my dog, I'll let you keep this roll of my magical tape. Thanks, kid.
And Luke said, Really?
Absolutely. And how about this? Why don't my dogs give you a ride home, okay? You can hop on their back, and they'll take you all the way there.
And Luke said, Wow, thanks, Giant. That would be really fun. Thanks so much for the magical tape. I'll be very, very careful with it, sir.
All right, kid. Talk to you later.
And so the dogs took Luke all the way home and made sure he got there safely. And when he finally got home, he couldn't believe how fortunate he was to have this roll of the magical tape. And he could only imagine all the amazing things he would be able to do. He could win races, he could build forts, he could save people. There were so many things he could do. And that's just what he did.